to Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I'm Luke.
And I'm Griffin.
And we are back again with another episode, which is probably the most requested movie that I've ever given. So I want to give a shout out to my friend Will, who has constantly brought this up to my attention. I finally got around to it. Very excited to talk about it. We have watched and are here to talk about 12 Angry Men. Griffin, you have some special news about this.
Yes, I was kind of going through films we've watched because that's what we all do in our free time, right? And I can almost confirm, I don't know with 100% certainty, but I know with 99% certainty that 12 Angry Men, released in 1957, is the oldest movie ever covered on Two Dudes, so shout out to that.
Yeah, making this mystery. I don't recall, at least in the time I've been on, that we've talked about anything older. And actually, now that I think about it, when was North by Northwest?
That is a good question. North by Northwest.
That was 59. So this is still the oldest, because this was 57. So, yeah, this is probably the oldest movie we talked about on the podcast. And, man, what a movie. It's a very strange premise that sounds like it wouldn't work, and it does somehow, where it is literally just 12 men in a jury room discussing whether or not they should sentence a 18-year-old boy to death who is on trial for murdering his father.
Yeah.
That's the plot. That's the premise. And it is all just primarily in this one jury room. And I feel like it's one of the first instances probably where the cinematography tries to do something unique with just being in one space and existing. I feel like...
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of it. I want to say it was like Home, but it had Tom Hanks or something in it where like the camera was just put in one fixed point the entire time, and then like the world revolved around them, so like everything evolved. There was a house built there, and then like the camera ended up being in the house's living room, so you could see like the family interact and different things. It was something like that. And I feel like a lot of those movies that try to do something unique with the cinematography just don't hit all the time, but this one I think worked.
Yeah. The cinematography, I mean, I feel like it doesn't really need to do anything like too special because it's, in like one room plus like the bathroom, but that's, I don't know if we're really counting that. But yeah, it's for the most part all in just like this one jury room. It's like just moving around to like close-ups of the jurors and just kind of like swivels around a little bit, but overall, I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's still honestly really well done. Just like the overall concept of the movie being in one room, and it's more about like the writing than it really is the cinematography, I feel.
Yeah, I will definitely agree, and it's impressive how many one takes are actually in this movie that just don't cut, because it's such a small space, and some of the one takes I'm trying to process how exactly they did it, because they have the table in the center, right, and then the men are seated around it,
right,
and there's one part where they're going one by one, just going over like after their initial vote of guilty, not guilty, on what they think and explaining why they voted the way they did. Explaining why they voted the way that they did. I cannot speak. And it like goes to one person and then slowly moves over and just keeps doing that. And when it gets to like the round of the table, it continues to round. So I don't know if they stood just behind everybody and had a zoom lens or something and just zoomed in,
right,
or if they had it where some of the characters would move their seats back and out of frame so the camera can keep moving or something like that. I don't know. But I was a very big fan of the one takes, because I think if it cut rapidly between everybody talking, it would have felt so jarring and boring.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's just the fact that like a lot of characters get their focus, most of them do anyway. I should probably restate that. Like the main characters, or the main jurors, really get their focus in just like very long one takes, and it's just like it might just be them talking about like the case. Did he murder his father? I mean, like general stuff like that. It goes more in depth, but like. But kind of just saying to the cinematography, like, yeah, it does have like a lot of those one takes, and where it's just focused on the guys.
Yeah, and I think part of what makes that also really special is the way that the script and the writing is, where there's a lot of monologues in this. So to not forget a line as you're talking to multiple other people, both in like quick, quippy sentences, but then also in the monologue format where it's just one character going over something very specific the entire time, while there's a bunch of other background conversations having to happen in the same room at the same time. It's a lot to balance, and it's very impressive that none of the actors forgot their lines. And speaking of the acting, I want to shout out everybody that's in this that plays our jurors. We have Henry Fonda, Lee Cobb, Joseph Sweeney, Martin Balsam, Ed Begley, Jack Klugman, Jack Warden, E.G. Marshall, John Fielder, Edward Binns, and Robert Weber. Or Edwards Binns, sorry. And the reason I have not said what characters they play is because they just don't have a name. Like, they do have a name for at least a couple of them, but for the most part, they're just referred to as the juror numbers.
Yeah.
And most of the scenes don't actually even bring up the juror number or the name. And I think that's intentional, where the performances are really good, and I do like them, but I don't feel like any of the characters stand out where I'm like, this is probably my favorite character.
Right.
But they all have a personality that's distinct from one another, and having that plus the lack of a naming to it, to me, helps highlight how these are really just random dudes that are on jury duty.
Right. Because it's like these, because yeah, like you said, they're random people on jury duty, and like their names aren't, and kind of like even in real court cases too, like real, I don't know law too much, so I'm not giving legal advice here. I don't think I need to disclaim that, but yeah, like often juries are just like, they're just 12 random people who got like jury summons in the mail. It's like whoever's on your jury, it's like you don't know them. It's like they're just 12 random people, and the movie kind of shows this too, where it's like these are just 12 random men. I mean, back then in the 50s, the jury would have just been all men, but like, fuck, where was I going with that point?
Do you need to restate it, or?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I transitioned after just saying that they're random men.
Okay, yeah. And kind of going off them just being random, it's like it kind of relates to like real court cases too. Not that this is legal advice. It's not. I don't think I need to state that. But like juries are often just, 12 random people. And like translating that over to the movie, it's like these characters are just 12 random men, as juries would have been back in the 1950s. And it just kind of like gives the writing more power, because it's just like you really just know them like kind of just by their numbers, because it's like number 8's the one who kind of like starts the whole moral dilemma in the first place, and eventually like number 9 agrees with him, and it just kind of goes on from there. And like the only introduction like to names that we get is like in the very, very last scene, where it's like jurors 8 and 9 have like a brief conversation where it's like, oh, what's your name? My name's Davis, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah. He's like, and the other guy's like, oh, it's my name. Well, see ya. And that's literally their entire conversation. So it's really just like, yeah, these are just like 12 people.
Yeah, and I think that's all it really needs to be. I don't need any of the background. I feel like if it was any other movie, or most any other movie, because there is probably a way you could make it work, I feel like I would dislike that these characters are just kind of nobodies. Like there's no personality to them, or I guess not personality, but name to them, right? But for this, having it just be 12 random civilians that are on a jury that have to work together to figure this out, I'm okay with it, because the plot makes sense to have it be that way.
Right, and the plot more than makes up for like a lack of name too.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think one of the other things I really like about this is that even though it's shot in black and white and you can't really like get around the lighting as easy, the detail and everything really sticks out to me. And it's not the like detail of the set or the lighting or anything. It's just things that are said, done, brought back up, certain things like that, where whenever juror number 8 has to go through and give reasonable doubt for why he thinks the kid's not guilty and explain everything, he's like very finely going into detail. He's like, the woman said that she saw the kid kill his dad between the last 2 cars of a 6-train car going by, right? How long do you bet that takes? And they're like, I don't know, about 10 seconds. And he goes, okay, so let's assume that it takes about 10 seconds. And they go through and do all the timing for it. And he's like, there's no possible way she could have seen it, right?
Yeah, they really do a really good job just like demonstrating like, or like recreating the circumstances of like the murder, like despite not being on the scene itself too. It's like they had that with the lady in the train cars. They had like that with the old man going down the hall where it took him like 40 seconds instead of 15 to like see the boy running down the stairs. And like even just like the smaller details of like the lady wearing her glasses, like she had marks to her glasses, and I don't wear glasses, but like at the same time, it's just like tiny little details like that just really were like, huh.
As the resident glasses wearer, I didn't even think about it, right? And the guy that is bringing up this point, or to one of the people that saying that he's guilty to try and convince him, brings up this point about the glasses and is like, well, you don't wear your glasses when you go to bed. If she woke up and just looked out the window, why would she be able to clearly see him if she doesn't have the glasses on? She wouldn't be able to see anything, just a blur. And he's like, by God, you're right. I wouldn't have thought of that. And watching it, it's something that I wouldn't have thought about either, right? Like whenever I go to bed, I just have my glasses off. I don't think about it. It's just the routine.
Right.
So no different than like washing your face before bed or anything. Like I just don't think of that.
Right. It's like nobody I know goes to bed with their glasses on. It's like, but it, like at the same time too, it's such a small detail. It's like, you don't think about it. And like with the knife too, like I forget who had what knife, but like, the boy supposedly, allegedly murdered his father with like a very specific kind of like switchblade knife, and like
one of a kind, they said.
One of a kind, yes. As the I forget who, the guy who sold him the knife said like, oh yeah, it's the only one I have. And then juror number 8 just kind of pulls up with another one. He's like, boink, I have another, and stabs into the table. It's just like,
yeah.
Oh, so it's like, obviously there's probably more than one knife out there. So yeah.
And I think my favorite of the smaller details is there's the guy, or I guess there's a couple guys with glasses, but the one that I was just talking about briefly with the testimony about the lady who wouldn't have had the glasses on when she was sleeping, that guy that they're trying to convince, he earlier in the movie has one very quick line in passing as like they're all like getting ready to transition into a conversation, and it's supposed to be the hottest day on record where it's happening, so everyone in the room sweating except this guy. Doesn't have a lick of sweat on him at all. And one of the guys asks him, he's like, boy, do you ever sweat? And he goes, no. And then it moves on. But later, whenever they're trying to, who is it? It's juror number 8, trying to get him to recall what movies he watched and who starred in them from like 4 days ago. The guy can't recall what movies he saw, who starred in them perfectly, and gets certain things wrong about the names of the movie or who starred in it. And I got to look into the OBS for this so I can get it. It's my right. It'll look like your left, probably. That side of his face has sweat start dripping down it, and it's the first and only time he sweats in the movie. So juror number 8 was the guy that made him start sweating as he was trying to recall the details.
Yeah.
To have him under that stress. I think that's just a phenomenal detail.
Because it's like, I don't sweat. Pressures.
Proceeds to sweat.
Oh, crud. I'm sweating.
Yeah, I love that detail. And for all the praises of this, I really don't have any cons. I feel like it's just a very straightforward movie on what it is, what it needs to do, and it gets it done well.
Right. And like, I kind of like how it covers like the themes of like morality and judgment too, because it's like,
For sure.
At first, like 11 out of the 12 are like, yeah, he's guilty. Look at the evidence. And then it just takes one guy, because in a jury, they need 12-0 vote either way. Either 12 say he's guilty, 12 say he's not guilty. It cannot be split down the middle. It cannot be a majority. It has to be all or nothing. So it's like, it just takes juror number 8 to be like, hey, so like, what if he's not guilty? It's possible, isn't it? That's my favorite quote from the movie. It's possible, isn't it? Because like, really, anything is possible. Like, obviously, these are eyewitness accounts, and like, even if they are like sworn statements, like they're just gonna be like, it's based on memory, and like, you know, memory's not perfect. I can't recall memories 100% perfectly, so it's like, and plus they do all those like demonstrations in the jury room itself, and it's like, they even go as far to be like the one guy was taller than the other guy, and he would have to like stab down or something like that. They do make a 6'7" reference. He's like he literally says, let me make myself like 6 or 7 inches shorter. I'm not joking. That is in the movie. Don't sue me. It's there. Luke, I'm so sorry, but like it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, but I do like that they touch on some of these societal things, even if it's not like in depth, right? Where I think what would it be? I think the two most prominent ones are the poverty level and racism. I think are the two where
Yes.
I believe the kid is from an immigrant family, if I recall correctly, and there's one guy that constantly is like, "Oh, you know, these kids from this type, they're no good. They're no good." And eventually, it gets to a point where he just like is just blatantly being racist about it and doesn't actually have any founded proof. So everyone else slowly just stands up from the table, walks away to get him to like have it out of his system, burn it out, and then eventually one of them's like, "You can go sit over there," in like a different corner of the room, and he sits there for the rest of the movie, and eventually changes his mind from guilty to not guilty because he like comes to terms with it, and he's like, "I really have a prejudice for it."
Yeah.
And one of those other prejudices, like I mentioned, was the poverty level, where one of the jurors was in a similar position poverty wise as the kid who's on trial, and somebody made an offhand comment about the neighborhood that he grows up in and whatnot, and the juror's like, "Well, hold on now a minute, like I grew up from around that same area, you got a problem with that?" And like his open arms ready to defend where he grew up, right? So seeing those kind of things touched on was also nice.
Right, yeah, especially for when it came out too, because like 1957 was really around the civil rights movement, so it's like just kind of seeing these couple hints of like the guy one of the jurors sitting in the corner, the other one kind of like calling out like, "Hey, I grew up in that neighborhood." It's like it's just little moments like those that are pretty nice to see.
For sure. Do you have anything else we want to talk about before we get into a deep thought?
Well. Just kind of one minor thing too. I do. It's just a small little note, but like at the end where it's like where juror number 3, who's been the brick wall for the entire movie, it's like eventually he breaks down as like, no, he's not guilty. He just kind of sits there as like they're all just walking out. And it's actually number 8, who was like basically his rival for the movie. And like 8 still like gets up and puts his puts number 3's coat on. I feel like I'm talking about the Umbrella Academy here. And it's like it's just like that small gesture of kindness is like kind of neat to see too.
Yeah, I appreciated that too. That 8 is kind of just a voice of reason and almost devil's advocate at times for his argument on the not guilty stuff, but just able to be pretty calm and straightforward about it and doesn't really get up in arms about anything because he just is very level-headed, knows what he's talking about, and can prove it.
Right.
Yeah, deep thought-wise.
Wait, hold on.
Oh.
Do you mean to say you don't have any complaints about this movie?
One, but we're not there yet.
Oh, okay. Great.
It's really not that bad, I promise.
Sure.
But
let's go with
that. Knowing my track record. Yeah, deep thought wise. Originally, I was going to think about if we wanted to do like, do we think he's guilty, not guilty? But I feel like that's really basic, and the movie pretty clearly states that he's not guilty, like through the interpretation of it. So I don't really know how deep that is. So I came up with a different one. Through the debate of trying to figure out if he's guilty or not, the reasoning to keep analyzing the evidence over and over is this idea of reasonable doubt, where do you personally have a reason to doubt that what something was said or pieces of the evidence are not true and or just don't line up? And that's kind of the basis for making the argument. So that reasonable doubt, is that something that we think courts and trials and juries nowadays still prioritize and have?
I don't watch many court cases, but like it might just come down to like perspective and like just how much and how good the evidence is. So it's like, because like not every jury room is going to be like this when this is fiction. So like not every jury room is going to have like try to recreate the circumstances. I mean, I'm sure like most juries do look at every piece of evidence through a fine lens over and over, but it's like if they have any reason to like doubt the evidence, it's like they would need to like have pretty good proof that the evidence is like kind of faulty, I would say. Come back to me, I want to hear you.
Okay. For me, I really don't know, and I don't think it's fair for me personally to give an answer one way or another because I'm not in the room. I don't know.
Right.
So I can see on one hand where it is kind of a priority. Like, let's say you get really like local level city or county trial or something like that, and you know it's a similar case where someone's accused of murdering another person, right? I think at that point on a local level, they're pretty well more inclined to understand and kind of think through it and that sort of thing and try and find some of the reasonable doubt. But if you get into the larger scale where things get either just proportionately larger or more political, like Roe v. Wade, for example, or something like that when that was overturned, like I'm not in the courtroom of the Supreme Court. I can't determine if they were looking for reasonable doubt on whether or not that should be a right provided by the Constitution or from the government or anything like that. So I can't tell on those larger scales if all of them really did have reasonable doubt or if some of them were voting for party or for personal bias like some of the people in this movie were originally or anything like that. So for me, I don't really know. I would like it if there was always some reasonable doubt being prioritized, but I don't think it's fair to say yes or no because we're not in the room. We do not know.
Right. You do bring up a good point there. Yeah, because like I've never been on jury duty before. It's like I don't know if I ever will. So it's like I can't really speak firsthand whether like reasonable doubt like should or shouldn't be cast. I mean, if it seems like there's something off, like yes, I would say like maybe look into it a little harder. But like at the same time too, it's like if I'm not in the room, it's like how can I judge it one way or another? You know?
Yeah, I can understand that. As we move into ratings, I will bring up my con that I briefly alluded to.
I might have something or the other two, but
all right,
not a con, just like general question. But
we'll go for the general questions first.
It's kind of the basic. Do we think the man in the movie is guilty? And did the jury make the right choice of declaring him innocent?
I think at the start, whenever they like laid out the evidence that they had from the testimonies, it was pretty clear that the kid was guilty. But once you actually stop and think about it longer and really analyze it from that reasonable doubt standpoint for things that I never would have thought about, or like the people's biases that they bring, even if they are on trial and under oath, I think I would say he's not guilty.
Yeah, because I mean, the evidence is pretty damning from the start, because it's like you got two people say like he saw him kill and then run away. You have the knife. You have like he wasn't able to recall what he was doing, and like just a whole boatload of evidence against him. But like at the same time too, once they had that deeper look, like once juror number 8 was like, hey, I don't think he's guilty, it's like then he has to convince 11 other people that he's innocent. And like once they analyze it more and more and more, it's like they see like where the evidence kind of falls through like the testimonies, even though, you know, they're sworn to oath. It's like, yeah, I could see a couple like holes in that. And like, I don't think that's like a fault on the eyewitnesses or anything, because like, you know, memory's fuzzy. The one lady had eyesight problems, the other guy was just old. No discredit to him, but like but at the same time too, it's pretty clear that I think he's not guilty.
Fair enough.
So that's 2-0 not guilty, so I guess he's not guilty.
Not guilty of the jury of 2.
The jury
two dudes to talk movies. There you go.
The 2 jurors who are not law students.
Right. Anything else before we rate then?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I really don't have anything to complain about with this movie, to be honest.
Yeah,
I promise it's really not that bad. Like I said earlier, the acting with nobody being a standout character probably would be considered a negative on this movie, but at the same time, their personalities are what sticks out. And me saying standout character is not does the character stand out. It's more so do I have a favorite character over another, and I don't really do have that. But the reason that for me I don't consider that really to be a con at the same time is that the performances are good. The point is that these are just random people. They're not meant to be a front and center person.
It's not meant to be like a star-studded cast or anything.
Right. And the cinematography is amazing for the limited space you have. Dialogue in the script is really well done, and I love the attention to detail. So with no praises, actually, I'm going to see if you can guess what my problem is. If I have zero complaints about this movie, but I have a con, what could it possibly be?
Exposition?
No.
Oh, okay.
Exposition I for sure would have brought up, I promise.
Yeah, no, I would have. It's not exposition. It's not cinematography. It's not really the writing. I don't know. Is it that it didn't 100% take place in one room as advertised?
No,
I don't know.
Product wasn't
kind
good.
of a
Send it
stretch.
back. No, it's just didn't change my life. I just didn't have the emotional aspect to it, right? And
That's fair enough.
With no, like, it's just objectively great. I do think it's one of the better movies that I've seen in my life, but it just didn't change my life. So for that, I'm going to go with a 4.5 out of 5, I think.
Okay. So, Bullet.
The reason I asked if you could guess it is because they're like, that's just my markers if they didn't change my life or whatever.
So you're saying Bullet Train did change your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Exclusively drinking Fiji water from now on. No, I prefer smart water.
I just drink tap water. Probably shouldn't drink it. I use tap water. All right. So when it comes down to my rating, I mean, this is just really good movie. This is my second time seeing it, so I kind of knew what to expect. But just rewatching it for a second time too, it's just like I think I was paying more attention this time around too, because it's like you kind of notice the smaller details on a second watch. So it's just between like the simple cinematography and it's just like I think the acting was really well done by everyone who had like a major role, and it's just like just all the attention to details. I would be inclined to give this a 5 out of 5, but I don't think it quite reached that for me. So I would say also 4.5 out of 5.
Understandable.
Yep.
What for you didn't put it at that 5 level?
It just didn't feel like a 5 to me. I don't know.
Understandable. It's perfectly valid.
I'm all just feeling based. If it's 5 out of 5, I give it 5 out of 5. If it's 4.5, I feel, then it's 4.5.
That's kind of where like my complaint where like didn't change my life. I need to have like a visceral reaction to something to give it that 5 level. Like Bullet Train's comedy, I'm genuinely laughing at, but like consistently. Like if it's just one joke I laugh out, then not really. But if I'm consistently laughing at it and then having moments where I'm like starstruck by cinematography or whatever, that works. Project Hail Mary, if I'm getting close to tears, right, that's working. If it's something that just objectively checks the boxes, I'm like, you did this good, you did this good, you did this good. I don't have any complaints about that, but I don't have that emotional reaction to it. That's where that 4.5 line gets drawn.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I give it then.
Alrighty. That'll do it for this episode of Two Dudes Talk Movies. We will be back again next week. Until then, I'm Luke.
I'm Griffin.
See ya.
Bye.